And we are live. Welcome to Profile Pod TV. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Andy Anatomical, your host of the evening. As always, so excited to be here. And we have our guest here in waiting on standby. Before we get to our guest, I want to just do our my weekly shout outs. Before I get to the shout outs, even, man, it's great to be here. It's so exciting to be here in the Profile Pod, man. It's my little sanctuary, my little getaway, man. Get to be here and do what I love to do. I was at the beach last week. Some of you may have seen my live. I did a little Instagram live. I was down in Bolsa Chica, Huntington Beach area. And for those of you SoCal people, you know where that's at down there, Orange County. And oh man, it was fun. It's a lot of fun. Humid as hell. And I hadn't been there in like 5 years. I forgot how hot it gets down there, man. I'm originally from the Inland Empire, Rancho Cucamonga, and it's dry heat out that way. And then now I moved to the opposite side of the world. I live in Simi Valley, which is about, north 35-40 minutes northwest of LA, and we get a nice little breeze on that end. But anyways, I was down in Orange County, man, had a great time. And that was fun. Always got to get some family time in there. Shout outs, man. Let's get into the shout outs, man. I have one shout out tonight. And, if I could shout out to all the Instagram people, man, I love all my Instagram people because you guys are very supportive, very, very fun to interact with. And it's always a blast, man. Always meeting good people on there every day, man, every day, So as always, I don't want to get off track, getting myself off track. I'm very excited about tonight, man, because, with every episode, man, it's a rush. It's a damn rush because I bring on good people. I bring on fun, inspirational people. And that's what this is all about. This is what this show is all about. This podcast, this is why I created it, for that purpose, man, to bring on good people, showcase them, and, put them on a pedestal, man. Talk about what they're doing, let them inspire others. And, that's what it's all about, man. So shout out to all the Instagram people. Also, shout out to Raul Rico Culindres. If you guys don't know who that is, check him out. He does a nationally syndicated or nationally affiliated show with Carmen. He has a little animated character he does prank calls with, and it's called Carmen's Calls. And check him out. He's in, I don't know how many affiliates, man, throughout the country. He's not in LA. He is in New York, Hot 97, and he's out there throughout the country. Look him up. You can find him on YouTube, Carmen's Calls. Follow him on Instagram. Had a great conversation with him a couple nights ago and picked his brain. He's been in the business for over 20 years, and a big shout out to him and the Colindres family. So it's always fun to talk to that guy. That guy is a riot, man. Riot. So also, if you guys want to be a part of this show is an interactive show. So if you have a question, if you have a comment, we might post it on. We'll ask our guest, and we'll post it on the screen. We want to make this an interactive, fun show. So don't forget that. If you want to be a part of, if you want to come on and be profiled, just like we are tonight, you can do that, man. Let's get you on the show. Let's get you on. So DM me at Profile Pod TV on Instagram. We want people who are going to inspire, who can maybe you do a Rubik's Cube in 10 seconds or less. Maybe you ride tandem bikes in the middle of Canada while holding blowtorches. I don't know, man. We want people who do cool shit. Bottom line, podcasters, musicians, entrepreneurs. So before I forget, also this Sunday, we're debuting our new show, Q&A with Real Estate Ray Rodriguez out of Rancho Cucamonga, California, Empire State's Real Estate. He's a real estate agent. He's going to be on to answer all your real estate questions. We're going to talk shop, and it's always fun, man. I love real estate. I love real estate, man. So we're gonna run the pilot show this Sunday, 9:00, right here on this same channel, same place. So check it out. Tune in. I know for you East Coast people, it's a little late, but tune in, man. Maybe you're interested in investing or purchasing a home, listing. You know, maybe you want to sell. Maybe you're not sure if it's a good time, or maybe you want to buy a duplex or what have you. You know, check it out this Sunday. All right. So let's get to business here. Let's get down to brass tacks, as they say. You know, coming on the show for tonight, and usually I totally screwed up. I have to apologize to my guests. I was going to bring them on. I usually have my guest standing by, off camera, off the screen, and then I bring them in. So I apologize, Chris. I apologize. I totally screwed that up, man. But you know what, man? Ladies and gentlemen, we have our guest of the evening in the Profile Pod for the first time. He's out of Whittier, California. He has the Kickback podcast, over 3,000 followers on Instagram. Check him out. Funny ass podcast, entertaining, engaging. What else can I say about this guy, man? I can't wait to talk to him and get to his story. Without further ado, Chris of the Kickback podcast, welcome, man. How are you, bro?
Thank you for having me on, and I'm doing great. And just real quick, I'm glad that I noticed that I wasn't on standby, because I would have been like scratching my ass, picking my nose. So I was like, oh, because I was literally about to be, oh, okay. Like I still saw myself on the screen. I was like, maybe I'm not on standby. Let me just drink my beer and be quiet.
You know, man, I'm sorry, bro. I like I said, I screwed that up. And one, I had I'm not gonna name names, but maybe you could watch it on YouTube. One of the episodes, I forgot to turn off the person's mic, man, and there was just all kinds of commotion going on. But while he was on standby, but that's my fault, you know.
No, that's why I like live. It's just live. You never know what's gonna happen.
That's true, right? And I guess in the podcasting world, that's kind of a cool thing that happens, right? It's not exactly a bad thing, like you said, man. It's podcasting. You never know what's gonna pop off, man.
Dude, I enjoy it, especially like being live. That it kind of brings me back to when I did radio at Cerritos College. Like when you're live, there's just a different feeling. Whereas like when you're just recording a podcast, you know, if you mess up or screw up, or maybe someone says something that they're not supposed to say, you can kind of edit it out. But when you're live, it's live. So these mics are hot.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly, man. But it is a different feel, man. Absolutely, Chris. It's a different vibe. It's a different experience altogether, man. Because when you're recording, it's just it's just different, bro. But you get a rush when you're on live, man. Would you say?
Without a doubt, I think just knowing that you're on air right here, right now, people can hear exactly what you're saying at this very moment. That's where, some people get, a little hesitant. They don't like being on live. They don't like doing lives just because they might say something inappropriate. They might say something maybe a little too outside, and they might feel like they get in trouble. But for me personally, I enjoy being live. I love doing it. And like I said, it brings me back to when I did radio, and doing it is just like, at least now I can cuss at least a little bit.
So, hey, bro, you did radio at Cerritos College?
Yeah, so they have shout out to Cerritos College, because I feel like if it wasn't for that radio station, this would have never happened. So at Cerritos, they have a radio station there. It's called WPMD. It's where people make a difference. That's what it stands for. And I remember the whole reason why I got into this is because I was going to school and I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be like a sports writer. Yeah. I thought that was something I was like, oh yeah, I want to do that. Turns out I was a decent writer, but that wasn't my passion. And I was taking this class called Radio TV Film, and I was failing the class. And luckily for myself, the professor said, "Hey, I noticed that some of you are failing," and he looked at me. And I was looking around like, me? And he was like, if any of you want to get some extra credit, you can go next door and you can rent the studio out and do a 30-minute episode. No one's going to hear it, just me. And, you're going to get 10 points extra credit. I looked over to my best friend at the time. His name's Tugboat. And I was like, bro, we need to do this because my ass is failing this class. Yeah. And sure enough, we ended up going every day after class, before class, like in between classes. We would just be there recording episodes to the point where I had so much extra credit, I didn't even have to do any assignments. Like I was just passing the class just off the extra credit. And when the semester was over, the guy who runs the studio, Casey Petrowski, he told us, "Hey man, you guys are here all the time. How about you audition to be on the show or to be on air?"
Uh-huh.
And we looked at each other and we said, you know what? We were feeling ourselves. We were like, yeah, we could do this. So we auditioned, we got passed, and we ended up doing the Hot Corner, a sports show, for a few years. We got nominated for an award, an IBS Best Sports Talk Show. And
What?
yeah, and it was a blast. It was a blast. I had so much fun being there.
All at Cerritos College.
All at Cerritos College, and being nominated for an award. They flew me out to New York, all expenses paid. And I was just like, oh my God, like they're doing this just because I'm talking into a mic. Like, oh man.
Right.
It was awesome.
That's awesome, bro. Yeah, man. So that's kind of like what basically inspired you to pursue that or pursue this?
Yeah, without a doubt. Once I started, just hanging out at the radio station, I would just ask a lot of questions, and that's the kind of person I am. I was like, who's listening, or what's this, or what's that, or how do you record this, or how does the board work? And I just ended up getting so much into it that I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is what I like doing. I like talking, and I like just talking about sports in general. And what's crazy is that, like, my family, when I was telling them about it, my family thinks of me as a very shy person. Like they don't see this side of me really. They don't see me like talking and doing all this. And so when I first started doing it, they were kind of shocked and weirded out and like, I don't know how that's going to work out. But it got me out of my shell, and it just makes it so much more fun now. Just that experience that I had.
That's cool, man. Wow, that's man, how long ago was that, Chris?
That was in 2013, right out of high school.
Okay. It's about 7 years now.
Yeah. So I'm 25 now. So I was about 18.
Uh-huh. And so what did you continue to go the radio route? Or did you stay in that world?
What ended up happening is, it is a community college. You can only be there for so long. And the guy that I did the radio show with was Joseph Tugboat. And
shout out Tugboat, man.
Yeah, shout out Tugboat. He still does. We switched over the Hot Corner to a podcast, so we still do it together now. But I ended up doing that, and after we kind of finished, it was just all over. Like I, went and tried to, get my foot in the door at some radio stations, but at the time, I'm no name, it's a young guy. No one's gonna hire a 22-year-old guy to have their own show. And so I was like, I'm tired of waiting and just sitting on the sidelines. So I was like, you know what, podcast is a big thing. And I switched my radio show, The Hot Corner, to a podcast, did that for a while. And I love sports so much, but it got to a point where, I ended up doing it by myself. Joseph got really busy with work. So I was doing it by myself, and I had this feeling and this urge of like, man, I want to talk about more than just sports. Like there's so many things out there that's going on that my listeners that listen to the Hot Corner, they don't want to listen to that. So I thought like, man, like I'm way more funnier outside of the podcast and outside of talking about sports, because I was so serious about the sports and so passionate about sports. I didn't give a chance to be funnier, to joke around. And so I just threw it out there to my group of friends. I said, hey guys, I'm thinking of doing a podcast. Would you guys be interested in doing it? It's not about sports. It's just about everyday life, the news, whatever's going on. And Jesse and Jay were the only guys in my group that wanted to do it. So we just kind of took off from there, and, we just didn't look back.
Yeah, man. And so how old is the Kickback podcast? When did you start it?
So originally we started in 2018. And what's crazy is I started that with my brother. and he was the first guy that was like, I see you doing a podcast. I want to do a podcast too. And so we did it together, and we did the kickback together. And he, thought of the name, and I was like, you know what, we're gonna do this together. We're really doing this. And again, the same thing happened. Like work got in the way. I got busier. We just couldn't line up a day to do the podcast. So we only ended up doing 8 episodes, and we took like a year-long hiatus. We just didn't do it anymore. And then 2019 hit, and that's when I told Jesse and Jay, hey, are you down to pick it back up from where we left off and just see what happens? And they were down to do it, and now this is where we're at so far.
Yeah, bro. No, man, I see you guys. Awesome podcast, man. Like I was telling you, I was listening to Stitch Duran, that episode, and the other one with the Eskimo Brothers, and man, you guys had me rolling, man. Somebody's one of your partners, man, on the show. And forgive me, it's either Jesse or Jay, right?
Yeah.
One of them has this laugh, bro. When he giggles, it's so fun. It's so funny when he laughs. His laugh alone, like, is
contagious,
man.
Yeah.
He was. When you guys were talking about, you guys covered a lot of stuff, man, about the explosion and the one in Beirut. And,
oh man, yeah.
That episode, man, that was a wild episode, man. So you guys are all from Whittier, huh?
Well, so I'm from Whittier, and Jesse was originally was born and raised in Montebello, and now he moved to Pico. And
okay.
Jay is still in Montebello right now. So I'm Whittier, Jesse's in Pico, and then Jay's in Montebello. And we all went to Montebello High School.
The Oilers.
That's right. The Oilers.
Yeah, dude. I was telling you, bro, I have people all over the place. My cousins went to Cantwell, in Montebello. They grew up in South El Monte, and then I have my one of my brothers lives in Pico. He grew up in Pico. He's my half brother, and he went to El Rancho. And so I know all those parts, man. I'm familiar with all those parts, bro. I grew up, being visiting all those places, man, and all those cities. So you went to Montebello High, huh? That's the Oilers.
Yeah, and it's
sure
cool spot. Sure is a big rivalry. Yep.
I've heard, bro. I've heard, man. It's a big game.
Can't root for them. Nope.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I used to coach, man. I coached with a guy that went there, and he was on. I don't know if you're familiar, man. He was on that team Sure team that won CIF back in 2008. Back in 2008.
Well, when I was there, yeah, I heard. When I went to Montebello, I feel like they would rub that in our face, like, yeah, we won CIF back in 2008. Yeah. Because Montebello, I think the last time we won CIF was like back in the 50s.
Gosh.
Yeah, so they would rub that in our face a lot.
No, that's cool, man. I love rivalries, man. But Whittier, bro, I used to hit up Whittier, man. Q's was I don't know if I'm a little bit older than you are. Q's was a big spot. You remember Q's and there's a few other spots down there, bro. And I used to go and afterwards we'd go to La Tacor and just grub down on tacos at 2 a.m, bro, and all drunk.
That's still our tradition too, man.
You're still doing that. Yeah, bro. Back in the day, man.
Yeah, and I enjoy it just because, like with Jesse and Jay, like they were kind of born and raised in Montebello. That's what they know, and I'm more from Whittier, so it's cool just to kind of like get our two little small worlds together. So like sometimes they're still showing me things in Montebello, even though I went to school there. That's all I really did. I was like, I would go to school, then come back home, and same thing. Like they would never really cut as far as Whittier they would go is like my house. They would never really explore anything like that. But now we get to kind of just experience, or I get to show them some of the spots that I grew up going to.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, Whittier's a cool spot, man. I like that city, man. Very clean, and then you got Old Town, and then Whittier College, and anyways, man. I was, what's funny? I went, I almost went there to Whittier College. I was being recruited to play some ball, but it didn't come to fruition. but it would have been fun, man. I really liked that campus, and the vibe there, and it was close to home, and Whittier's right there, and I was already familiar with partying in Whittier, so
Mhm.
that would have been cool, man. But man, back to the Kickback podcast, bro. Back to your podcast, man. So you guys have a really cool vibe on that show. When I'm listening to your show, man, I feel like, man, I could just jump in, and I want to jump in and into the conversation, bro. Like literally, I'm like, hey, man, I want to speak on that, or I want to, join the fun, bro.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, man. It's listening to you guys, man. And what do you guys? How do you guys, as far as topics for discussion, how do you guys come up with your topics, or is it really all just random, bro, or any type of structure to it?
Well, me personally, having that radio background, I always love to be structured, but with them, they never really had that background, and that's just knowing them for so long. I know that's not how they work. Like that's not how I can get the most out of them, or the most out of the show in general. So usually it's just we show up, they come here, and we get the mics ready, and right before we start recording, we're either like just the other day we're watching some baseball or watching whatever, and then we kind of look at each other like, oh, you guys ready to go? And we'll be like, hey, we could talk about this, or we could talk about the shooting here, or like we could talk about this crazy thing that happened in sports here, or just we'll go about 5 minutes right before we record, talk about what we might talk about. But other than that, there's no real structure. I have my notes like on my phone, because I know like eventually the conversation will die down, but boom, I'll hit them with like another topic, or usually the conversation just goes wild and it'll go out of control, and we'll talk about nonsense. So I'll kind of get it right back in, and bring something else up. So it's a little bit of structure and not structure. So it's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Yeah, but you definitely keep things loose, man. You guys are pretty loose on there, but you guys get you guys got a good chemistry, good cohesiveness. You guys kind of know each other by now pretty well. Like you know how things, how your conversations are going to flow. Who everybody's personality, and so that I think the chemistry's there, man. Definitely, man. You guys it just works. It works well, man. And like I said, man, you guys are funny as hell, man. But yeah, and I really, again, going back to the Stitch Duran, that conversation, man, he was interesting, and interesting how he kind of went back. He got into the boxing industry later on in life. Huh? I think that's what he said, and
yeah,
I think he left his other career or job, right, and then jumped into boxing, moved to Vegas, and that's kind of cool, man.
Yeah, and the rest was history, pretty much.
Yeah, and he's a cut man, right?
Yeah, he's probably one of the best cut man to ever do it. I personally think he's the best. There's numerous fighters that say he's the best, and just to have that conversation with him, and all those years of fighting, whether it be MMA or boxing, just to have that conversation of a guy who's witnessed and been a part of so much history. I like I told you before, like I really don't get starstruck or get nervous at all doing the podcast anymore. But that few seconds of right before, I started that phone call, I was like, oh man, like I haven't felt this nervous in a while. So it was fun to have that feeling again.
That's cool, man. Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. So when you guys, what do you guys look for in your guests, Chris? Like, what is it? You have kind of a variety, or is it more of a, is it more variety, or do you guys really stick to like a certain type of maybe somebody who's funny or something like that?
That's a good question, and it's interesting because when it comes to the podcast, like usually it's just Jesse J and myself, and we every now and then we'll throw a guest with us three. And if I don't throw a guest in with us three, it's usually just a one-on-one with me and a guest. And the reason I do that is because I know Jesse and Jay are, busy and they can't really do that many podcasts per week. So I like doing, that conversation on the side with, maybe someone who might not gel too much with all three of us together bullshitting at the same time. So it's easier to just have that one-on-one.
Yeah,
So I'm kind of picky when it comes to that, but for the most part, when it comes to guests, I always tell people who want to do a podcast or want to start getting people on, I tell everyone, make sure that you have someone that you're interested in. Don't
yeah,
just get a random ass person just to have a guest, or yeah, maybe they might have a lot of followers. Maybe they might have 10, 15, 20,000 followers. But if you're not interested in them, the conversation, the feeling that it's not going to be there. So whenever I have a guest on, it's because I'm interested in them. It's because I already have 1,000 questions that I want to ask them, that I'm
yeah,
intrigued. Like I could have 1,000 questions I have for you already. Like just thinking of all these things. Like when it comes to a guest, I try to be strategic in that sense, especially when it comes to us three, because sometimes we might get carried away and we'll just bounce off of each other laughing and telling jokes and telling stories, and then we forget about the guest who's the main focus.
yeah. Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, man. That goes a long way. Someone who you're sincerely, genuinely interested in.
Mhm.
That in and of itself is important, bro. Like you said, you don't just bring someone on. Yeah, okay, yeah, they have 10,000 followers. Okay, right, but are you really interested in them? You really want to know what their story? I think, yeah, man, that right off the top, man, you do that. That's key. I mean, that's key. I'm speaking for myself too. I got to remember that as well, man. Just bringing people on who are who are interesting, man. Who I want to know more about. If it was just
Exactly.
someone on the street, and so. Actually, we have a question right now for you, Chris. If you can
Oh
see
yeah.
Ryan on Above the Hook, he said, "How many podcasts do you do per week?"
Good question. So I average at least one podcast a week. Um, that's if I'm only doing the kickback and I'm not doing the hot corner and I'm not doing other people's podcasts. But a week like this where I did the kickback, uh, I'm doing a I'm doing a hot corner. I just did Mega Man's podcast literally a couple hours before this, and then I'm doing yours. So that's just two in one day. That's four in a week. But I average usually either one to two a week.
Wow, there you go, man. So, man, you're staying pretty busy, bro, with
Yeah,
podcasting.
I just enjoy conversation. Like I just like talking to different people or talking. Some people are nervous to do a podcast by themselves, like just them alone.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily for myself, I don't mind talking to myself. So there's sometimes where I'm doing a podcast by myself. No one's in the room, no one's listening until I upload it. And I just like having fun, like having a conversation with, anyone, or just even having a conversation by myself doing an episode.
Yeah, man, and it's that's how I started, Chris. I started January of last year, 2019, and I was just doing kind of just I would write down my script and then just kind of read off it and just make it you know uh, sound like I wasn't reading, try to make it sound the best they could, that I wasn't reading. And then I was kind of nervous to bring a guest on, man. And then finally, I brought on my brother Oscar, shout out, and we did an episode on 90s Galore, which is the first podcast I had, and that was we talked about Morrissey. We profiled Morrissey,
Nice.
and the Smiths and all that. And
Yeah, I love them. They're a good band.
yeah, right, bro. He's huge in these parts, Morrissey and all that stuff. And so, anyways, but yeah, that's how I got started, man. And by nature, I'm not a huge talker, man. I'm not a huge. I'm introverted by nature, you know.
Hmm.
And like you mentioned that your family kind of sees you, like when they see you in this light, they kind of get weirded out, or they kind of I'm the same way, bro. Like, my family will see me doing this and like, what, the heck.
Yeah.
But I've always loved to perform, bro. I've always loved to perform in some capacity. I've done some acting and blah blah blah.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. So that's why I got back into podcasting or why I got into podcasting, not back into it, but I wanted to get back into this arena, of performing and being behind a mic or a camera. And so that's where I came from a little bit in a nutshell. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. You turn on that red button, bro, that record button, and it's a whole different world for on a podcast.
Without a doubt, because when you're doing a podcast or when you're just getting to talk to someone, there's something special. I find it like when I get to meet someone that I've never met you in person. This is the first time we're ever getting to talk. And there's just something cool about that. There's just something that in today's world is missing. And I mentioned this in a podcast about a week ago on Social Primates podcast with Eddie.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I told him I honestly wish everyone could have the experience that podcasters have, where it's like you're getting to have these conversations with people who who were born or raised a total different way from yours, or were, grew up in a different side of town, or have different ways of thinking. And you're getting to have these amazing experiences, amazing conversations with those people that normal everyday people who don't have a podcast, they're missing that interaction with a total stranger. They're missing that interaction, and people are just looking at their phones and not getting to meet the people that are behind that profile, behind that picture, behind that post. Like, they don't get to talk to those people. And like I said, like having that experience, like not a lot of people get the experience of getting to talk to you just for an hour or for 2 hours. I get to pick your brain, or you get to pick mine. And at the end of this, like, you might come, I'm going to have you on my podcast, and then we get to grow that relationship or grow that, conversation even more. And not everyone gets that. And I feel like everyone should have that experience. Everyone should have that feeling.
You bring up a great point, Chris. Absolutely, man. I had on MW Daniels. He's from the UK, bro. A couple weeks ago. I mean, yeah, man. He's in London, England, and here I am in my my little bedroom here, my studio, and I'm talking to a guy, thousands of miles. Yeah, bro, and that's an amazing thing. Yeah, and he's a filmmaker and a composer and amazing story, man. Amazing story, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. It really is, Chris. When you're getting to talk to people and you're meeting people, and you're networking, you're creating opportunities for yourself. It's a beautiful thing, man. Podcasting, yeah, man. It's we were talking about it earlier. You just don't know what's gonna happen, bro. You just don't know, man. It's anything goes. There's nobody. The censorship is non-existent. We can fucking say whatever we want to say.
Exactly, and it was crazy. I was talking to my co-host Jesse. Like, we had interviewed Alfred Robles, who's a comedian who he opens up for Gabriel Iglesias, and he's killing it in the stand-up game. And when we were done doing the podcast, Jesse was like, man, I never thought I'd do that. Like, I never thought I'd have a conversation with a comedian before. I'd never thought I'd get to meet someone like that. Or it's insane. Like, just the opportunities that a podcast can give you. And you think about, like, our podcast is very small. It's not even that big compared to, like, those huge podcasts. But we get to have those, cool experiences within ourselves or within our little town or community. So, like I said, I feel like everyone should be able to get that experience, to just talk to a total stranger and see how it goes.
Yeah, bro. Exactly. You know what it reminds me of, Chris, podcasting, now that you bring this up, man, because you made that point. I was in the Navy, and I met people from literally, probably all 50 states, bro. And everybody had a story, man. Everybody came from somewhere. And I used to just talk to people, man. I talked to my coworkers in the Navy, my shipmates, as they call them. And yeah, man, everybody had something interesting to say. People from New York or North Carolina, Wyoming, and you just listen to their stories. And this kind of reminds me of that, bro. This kind of reminds me of that because like we're meeting people from all over the world, literally, man. Canada, I've had people on from Canada. Again, London, England. People from all over the country, Florida, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's definitely what that reminds me about, bro. So, Chris, man, what inspires you though, bro? What is it that inspires you, man, to get that creativity flowing, bro? Like before a show or in general, man.
Yeah, well, when I first started, I never really listened to any type of talk radio or podcast in general. It kind of once I started doing radio, that's when I started listening to radio. And I remember kind of having that same little experience that you had in the beginning, where the first time I ever did radio, I was like, okay, I'm going to say this, and then you're going to say that. And then I'm going to say, like, I scripted the whole fucking hour, like, until the producer and the guy who runs the studio, Casey, he was like, hey guys, just go out there and the same shit you guys do here in the lobby, you just talk about sports, do the same thing up there. Just don't cuss. And I was like, oh, come with that piece of paper. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And once we started doing that, that's when I started listening to sports radio. That's when I started to branch out and like, oh, podcasting is kind of a thing now. Let me listen to podcasts. And so there's not really like what gets me going is just those conversations, like I mentioned, where it's like the opportunity to meet people. And if I were to stop doing this, that opportunity would go away. So what pushes me is just having the opportunity to talk to, whether it be famous people, actors, actresses, comedians, athletes. This podcast or me doing this has allowed me to talk to people I would have never had an opportunity to talk to. And growing up as a kid, every kid has that dream of, oh, I wish I could meet so-and-so, or I wish I could meet my favorite athlete, or I wish I could meet the superhero I see on the screen. So that is what pushes me. That is what keeps me going, because I'm like, we're just getting started, and who knows where this can lead to. Who knows? Maybe it just stops and it doesn't get any bigger, and that's okay with me. That's just, I get to still continue to talk to cool people. Or maybe it blows up and it gets really big to the point where I get to talk to, people that I looked up to when I grew up or when I was growing up, or, like a Stitch Duran and stuff like that. So I think what just keeps me pushing and what keeps my creative mind going, those juices flowing, is just having that opportunity or that chance to interview or have a conversation, not even interview, have a conversation with someone I admire or someone I grew up admiring.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's great, man, because you just don't know, what's going to happen. Like, again, you mentioned, if your podcast gets big, and that's great, man. And if it, whatever happens, the bottom line is you're enjoying yourself. You're doing what you like to do. You're having fun. And it's all good, man. You're talking to people, you're meeting people, and that's the journey is the best part, right? The journey is always the they say, there's a destination, but the journey is where you learn, and that's where the juice is, man.
Yeah. And not only that, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just being the age that I'm at right now, and just having Jesse and Jay being able to do the podcast, I grow. The more you grow, the more, the older you get, the more, hopefully, the wiser you become. And the one thing that I've figured out is the older you get, the least amount of friends you have. And it's because of life. Like, hey, this person moved out of town, or this person got a job here, or maybe these two guys got in a fight and now they're not talking to anyone. Or what this podcast does for Jesse J and myself, it gives us a reason to just keep on hanging out. It gives us a reason to just, continue that friendship. And within like the first 5 episodes, we were talking about stories that none of us have ever told each other because that opportunity never came up. Like, talking about, I remember the first episode was like embarrassing stories. And there was a moment where I fell on a date and I was looking so I never told anyone. I was like, this is something that's going to go to my grave. I'm never telling anyone. And that first episode, I told the guys, I'm like, what? Like, you never told us that, or stuff like with Jesse or Jay. Like, we get to hear things that maybe they never thought of sharing to us, and it just makes our friendship get even closer. So that's another thing that kind of inspires me and gets me going, is just being able to have that reason of why we're being friends and hanging out and just doing something and having a reason to hang out. Because there was a time where Jesse, Jay, and myself weren't talking at all. And it wasn't because we didn't like each other or we were mad. It's just because our lives right out of high school took us away from each other. Jay got busy doing this. I went to school. Jesse went to a different school. And we were all kind of just branching out. And then now this kind of just gives us a reason to come together and stay together. And then our other friends that are just as close, it gives them a reason to hang out. And, we have a friend who was in the Sheriff's Academy, who's, in the Twin Towers right now. And he's like, hey man, like I get to listen to you guys and I feel like I'm not missing anything out. I'm not missing out on all the fun. Like, so those are other reasons why I do it. But yeah, I'm just having a blast.
That's great, man. Yeah, you mentioned the older you get, you don't have any friends, man. I'm 43, man. I don't have any fucking friends, bro.
Not one.
No, but you're right about that, bro. I mean, seriously, from high school,
you find one guy and it's like, all right, we're in this together.
Yeah,
man.
I know. No, man, seriously, that's a great point, man. Because from high school, man, I think I don't hang out with anybody, like except for I went to school. A lot of my brothers and my cousins, we were we're all at the same high school. So if you take that away, I don't think I don't hang out with anyone from high school. But yeah, that's interesting, man.
And those are the things that I think about, like as I get older and as I talk to people, that are older than me. I'm like, this guy, he doesn't hang out with anyone, or he doesn't have any of the friends that he had in high school, and that's okay. Sometimes you just outgrow your friends, but there's a group of guys that's like, you know what, like I love these guys, like I want to grow old with these guys, and just now we're hitting that age, and so and so's getting a kid, and so and so might be getting married soon, and we're hitting that age where it's like life might be taking us apart, but we're still gonna have this podcast where we'll still be together some way, somehow, even if it's for one day out of the week.
Yeah, man, there you go. The Kickback podcast, man. And so where did the name come from, bro?
Yeah, like my brother would be pissed if I gave him no credit, but when we first started, it was gonna be with my brother and I, and coming up with a name for a podcast is probably one of the hardest parts. Like, I don't know if it took you a long time to come up with Profile Pod. It was a good name, but we were just bouncing back because we were brothers, so we were thinking like something cliche with brothers or bros, and we were talking about like, oh, maybe we do a beer craft thing where it's like what's on tap, and then we just turned that into a segment. So he came up with the name. My brother, he's also known on Instagram as Dead Malt. So he came up with the Kickback podcast, and I was like, yeah, because that's what we're doing here. We're kicking back and we're just talking nonsense.
Yeah, no, totally. It encapsulates what the vibe and what you guys are doing. Yeah, you guys just sound like you just shooting the shit on the couch, just chilling, and you're kicking back,
Did it take you a while to get the name Profile Pop?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but before that, I had the other podcast, my original podcast, 90s Galore.
Yeah, and another good name.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. You know, yeah, you're right, man. I don't know I didn't know what the hell I was gonna call it, man. And shit, it just kind of I was just kicking around names, brainstorming. I can't think of anything else. You know, I think '90s Galore just kind of just kind of came up, man. And Profile Pod TV, I wanted to kind of showcase people and bring them on and talk about them and talk about their talents and skills and what have you. So I was like, I'm going to profile someone, So yeah, it took some time, yeah, bro. It's funny how, you got to brainstorm and just,
But when you find it, when you say it out loud, you're like, that's it. Like,
yeah,
we're stopping. We're not coming up with any more names. That's the
yeah, because you could literally fucking take brainstorm for years and shit trying to find a name, man. And,
and what I'm curious, just to kind of flip the switch, how did you come about with the idea for yours? When it's like, because a lot of podcasts, they want to have a guest on, and I've done some shows where the guest isn't the focal point of the episode. It's more of like, hey, the guest is coming into what we're doing, so they got to get used to what we're doing over here. Whereas for you, it's like, no, my main priority is to be all about you. This is your show. This is your time. So how did you come up with that idea?
Well, yeah, I figured because I was doing that with '90s Galore, the way what you just described, bringing someone in, not necessarily as them as the focal point, but just coming on to talk '90s, talk about music and what have you, to they're tailoring themselves to what I'm doing, right?
Exactly.
So, but this is what I was like. I think that would be a good idea. Give up others an opportunity and just showcase them. And in the concept, I don't know if you remember the show That's Incredible. It's an old '80s show, ran from like 83. It's an old '80s show. Basically, they would bring people on, man, who did cool tricks, cool, unique stuff. Flamethrowers and freaking, people doing stunts,
knife swallowers.
Exactly, bro. Porn stars. No.
Yeah. I was gonna say jugglers, but you're throwing another ball juggler in there.
Which juggler? The female or the male?
Someone's juggling balls somewhere.
Someone's juggling. Right. So I thought like that was kind of the concept, bringing people on and just again, yeah, like you said, that making them the focal point, and but at the same time, being interactive, having a conversation and making it entertaining, just like we're doing now. Where we're talking. We want to, I want to know about the Kickback podcast, and I want to know your experiences, your background. But at the same time, we're interacting. We're shooting the shit, about other stuff, random stuff that pops up. Going to rabbit holes, and then we bring it back. Okay, back to the Kickback podcast. And so then, so that's my goal, man. That's kind of where I'm shooting for there.
Did it take you some time to? Because I think this happened to me where when I knew I wanted to interview people, I didn't want to just, seem like any other interviewer. I wanted to pride myself in being a good interviewer and being able to have those questions where maybe they didn't think of that question was going to be asked, or, just kind of doing a little bit of homework and digging up some, maybe not some dirt, but digging up something that maybe they didn't think was going to be expected. And so I try to, pride myself in being a good interviewer. What was some things was that something that crossed your mind where it's like, hey, I'm going to be talking to these people and asking these people, I need to come up with some good questions to ask them.
Oh yeah, no doubt, bro. But at the same time, I don't want to make them uncomfortable. I don't want to make my guests uncomfortable, bro. That's why I always give them a heads up what kind of questions I'm going to ask beforehand. And then if they, if they object to something, that I'm going to ask, then hey, we have a conversation, or we just throw out the question or something. But most of the time, almost 99.9% of the time, the guest is cool with what we're going to talk about, or questions I'm going ask. But yeah, I definitely want to pride myself on being a good interviewer and just creating a good conversation, man, engaging conversation, bro. And I don't want to. That's funny. You said, not necessarily bringing up dirt on somebody.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that? Just to surprise somebody like that on your show?
Well, I remember telling Mega Man, because he's an open book. Like you could talk to him about anything.
Yeah, we talked about eating ass the other night.
Yeah, there you go. That's a perfect example.
Shout out to Mega Man, man.
Yeah, so with him, I remember one episode he jumped on and he was like, I'm an open book. You can tell me anything. And I had some questions lined up on the side just in case for that. So I threw him some curveballs where even he was like, whoa, what the fuck? So I think I pride myself that I got Mega Man to like stumble a little bit where he was like, oh man, I don't know. So
can you share what maybe what one of those questions was? Or
oh man, I'm trying to remember.
I'm really curious.
It was like I remember it was a little dispute that he had with a guy named Side Dick Eddie, which he thought kind of was blown over, nobody really knew about. So I kind of I threw it right at him and he was like, oh man, I forgot about all that.
Oh man, all you had to say was Side Dick Eddie, bro. And I was,
yeah.
That in and of itself is funny.
Yeah. I remember when I had Side Dick Eddie on the podcast one time. And I remember I didn't know, I called him Sidekick Eddie. And he was like, no. It's Side Dick Eddie. And I was like, oh man, I didn't know. My bad.
Oh, that's good, bro. That's so he took offense. No, it's not. He corrected you. It's not Sidekick.
It's Side Dick. I was like, oh, pardon me.
Oh man, that's funny, bro. Yeah, Ryan from Above the Hook thought that was pretty funny, man. Side Dick Eddie. Oh, good stuff, bro. Good stuff, man. But yeah, man, that's so it's cool, man, to learn how people's stories, their backgrounds, how they, what makes them tick, how do they get into this whole thing, man. And again, man, every single person has a super cool story to tell, man. And I want to tap into those stories, man. I want to get a slice of that. I want to know, what is it that how do they get to this moment, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think just to add on top of that, like when not just for like us as interviewers, we get to learn about these cool things, but as listeners, for our listeners, like who knows, maybe that inspires them to go and do their own thing, or they go on and let's say it's a chef and he's talking, or he or she's talking about how they got started. Maybe that inspires someone to pick up the knives and pick up the that craft, and whether it be an athlete or a cut man, or maybe someone out there is listening and that just inspires the next best chef, the next best cut man, the next best podcaster, the next best whatever. So hopefully, or a comedian, who knows, hopefully, that what we're doing kind of inspires some people some way, somehow.
Oh yeah, bro. That's crazy, Chris, because I've had like, I want to say 3 or 4 cousins, bro, that have, and maybe 1 or 2 friends that have said, you know what, man, watching you do your thing and podcast, has inspired me. And they end up starting their own podcast, bro. And yeah, great point, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great feeling, man, to inspire and to push others and motivate others, man, based on what we're doing, right? And yeah, that's cool, man. That's a great point. Bro. So what is it that what do you look for in a podcast, Chris? Like I know you listen to probably a lot of podcasts, probably, and what is it that you look for in a podcast to what's Chris going to listen to, bro, that's going to keep him engaged?
Me personally, I tend to lean towards the humor side and the comedy side. I just enjoy laughing. I enjoy laughing at anything, and that's kind of why I'd like doing the podcast, because I know Jesse or Jay, they're gonna make me die laughing about something, or I might, just occasionally might be funny some way somehow. But when it comes to podcasts, I'm more toward the comedy side, the humor, and then I do sprinkle in, those good interviews, like kind of like yours. Mega Man has some, has good interviews with people. Ramley Alcoholics have good, interviews with people. So I try to sprinkle in, good interviews with that comedy, like more heavy comedy.
Oh yeah, man. I'm right there with you, man. Love comedy, love to laugh. If you can make me laugh, man, and I'm gonna be engaged, bro. Bottom line, And I tend to, listen to those that are humorous, the comedies. Yeah, bottom line, bro. Bottom line, man. If you can make me laugh, and there's some other a lot. You know what? I think the most common, the most popular podcast topic is crime stories, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I have seen a lot, and I've been wanting to get one of those hosts that do those podcasts where I've seen, like, whether it's crime or missing person or unsolved murders. Those are kind of interesting. Those get me, like,
yeah,
you're
bro.
telling me nobody knows where this person is, or no one knows where the fuck this guy is. Like,
yeah,
I'm into those.
Exactly, bro. And I if I'm not mistaken, that's more like it's one of the top themes or topics of a podcast out there. And but yeah, and exactly, it's and it has not. I mean, those are usually not funny, right? They're pretty serious in nature. They're not very necessarily. I mean, you could probably make one. I don't know.
I could find the humor in it.
Find the humor, put a spin on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys could, man, because I was listening to.
I think my lowest point was either talking about the explosion, which I don't feel proud of laughing about, but there was another scenario where there was a guy who was on a motorcycle and he crashed and his body flew so high that it landed on top of the freeway sign.
Oh shit! Wasn't that in the LA County somewhere?
Yeah, and I remember telling Jesse, like, what the fuck was that guy thinking? Like, as he was going up, like, just like, holy shit,
dude. Yeah, man. I remember that, but it's the like the way you guys were. You weren't laughing at the situation. You were there was a it was the context that you used.
Yes. I'm not laughing at the whole explosion. That's a horrible thing, but there was just something that I found funny in that little storyline of it.
Mm-hmm. And that, you know what though, Chris, and that's the thing about it, man. That's comedy, bro. And comedy, some people get offended, and comedy, man, is fuck. There's no boundary almost. You could say, I mean, to a certain extent.
Oh,
right. But for the most part, man, shit, you can make fun of anything, bro. And it's all in the name of fucking laughing, having a good time. It's nothing. We're not putting anyone down. You're not laughing at anybody's situation. It's comedy. It's in the name of comedy, bro. I've been to some comedy shows where they're talking about some raunchy ass shit, and it's funny as hell, man. And some people in the audience get offended, or it's like, man, come on, it's we're here to laugh, man. It's a performance, just like in a movie. It's a performance,
Exactly.
It's a story being told, right?
Yeah, and it is perspective, and it is like with some people. Right. I have yet to be offended at a joke, which I think that's just me. I'm probably never going to be offended at a joke, just because I understand that this person is trying to make light of a certain topic or a certain situation, and they don't mean harm doing it. They're just trying to make you laugh, and you might laugh, you might not, and it's not, they shouldn't be canceled, or they shouldn't be thrown to the street or thrown to the wolves just because you didn't find that funny. Like, there's someone out there who probably chuckled or laughed about it. Like, you just gotta take the blow, take the punch. It's comedy. You're gonna laugh sometimes. You might not.
No doubt, bro. Exactly, man. real quick here, Chris. I have Z boxing news, and speaking of which, my cousin of the last round is chiming in here. He said, "Comedy is our last hope to keep sane in this world, man," and he's right.
I agree 1,000%.
Right. Yeah. And by the way, yeah, he's Z boxing news. The last round. Danny, he had Chris had Stitch Duran on his show. When was that, Chris? How long ago was that?
It was about probably maybe in May.
Okay, this year.
Yeah, it was this year. It was during the pandemic, so it was about maybe a month or two in the pandemic.
Okay,
so probably
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, May.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask Danny, have you had Stitch Duran on the last round?
I'm sure if you hit him up, I'm sure he'd be 100% down to do it, without a doubt.
Yeah, he sounds like a real good guy, man. That guy.
Oh yeah, and he had stories for days. Like I remember once when the podcast was over, he was still chopping up stories and talking about some crazy stories. So he could talk your ear off all day.
Yeah, I bet, man. You guys kept going afterwards, huh? Yeah, he said he was on his show. He was on the last round earlier this year. Edward James Olmos' his brother?
Oh, just because they look so much alike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that right?
If you do it side by side, it's ridiculous.
Oh wow, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, it's crazy how much they look alike.
Yeah, man. I hope boxing makes a comeback, like a huge comeback, like back in the days. And I think it looks like it is, though, man. Right?
I'm enjoying it. The heavyweight division is on fire. All these other divisions in general, there's a lot of good talent in boxing right now, which you just got to sit and watch it, and you'll find it. Like there's a lot of talented boxers out there right now.
Yeah, I remember the good old days, bro. Back in the '90s and growing up, bro. My dad would go somewhere, somebody's house. We'd be somewhere watching a fight. That was just like almost every other weekend, bro.
Yeah, every other weekend there was a big fight or big something going on, right?
Yeah. My dad never got the fight. He was too cheap, so he was always fighting someone else's house to go fucking watch the fight, bro. And then he'd get pissed when they ask him to throw in
pitching for the pay-per-view.
Oh shit, yeah, man. Showtime or HBO and anyways, bro. But yeah, man.
Even now, like there's still pay-per-view, but even like let's say the UFC now, it's just all on the app. No more pay-per-view, so it's just all so it's crazy now.
Yeah,
times are changing.
I know, right? Yeah, bro. He said the black box. Oh man, yeah, bro. So what are some podcasts you listen to, bro?
Well, like I said, I'm into comedy, so I listen to a podcast with Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee called Bad Friends.
Okay.
I listen to Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura called Two Bears, One Cave. They're all comedy. Joe Rogan, obviously.
I know, right?
Yeah. Listen to The Fighter and the Kid. Man, there's quite a few that I listen to. Joe Coy, the Koi Pond. And then I'll listen to, the people that are kind of like in our group, which is like, Mega Man, Rambling Alcoholics, Social Primates, No Father, No Problem, Pura Cultura. I listen to all those guys and I'll, jump on and watch your live. So yeah, I'm kind of bounce around, but those are like the main ones that I fuck with, I guess you could say.
For sure, bro. Yeah, I like. I've been watching a lot of the Dr. Green Thumb with Be Real, Cypress Hill.
Yeah, I don't watch it all the time, but I'll watch a few and I like it.
Yeah, bro. That's interesting, bro. Danny Z has a question for you, bro. What's your guys' take, or my take? What's your take on Joe Rogan moving to Texas, Chris?
So Joe Rogan moving to Texas. Obviously, I'm not gonna like it just because, like I said, I love comedy so much. I've gone to Brea Improv. I go to the Ice House. I go to the Comedy Store. the Laugh Factory. I love going to stand up comedy. I love going to go watch it,
Yeah.
and knowing that he's gone, and all these other people are leaving too. Like Joey Diaz just left, so he's not there anymore. Um, Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen are probably leaving. Theo Vaughn's leaving. So him leaving has such a big ripple effect that now here in LA, that comedy scene isn't going to be as strong as it used to be. So I'm kind of bummed out about that. And I'm kind of interested to see what type of people he starts to bring on the podcast now that not everyone's here in LA. Now let's see who he can get on. That, of course, if Joe Rogan tells me you want to be on the pod, I'm gonna fucking fly to Texas, to be honest. But I'm just curious. Let's see what kind of different type of people he meets out there, and let's see who he gets on. So I'm curious about that.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I think it was more. It was a big business move. There's no income tax in Texas, man. Yeah,
and so that's when a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the Spotify monies. That's the reason why he's moving. So California doesn't touch that money. So it makes sense."
Yeah, it could be that, right? Who else is leaving? I think isn't freaking who's that guy from makes the cars and shit? What are those cars? Not Saturn. I almost said Saturn. Tesla. Elon Musk.
Elon Musk is making his factory, I guess you could say, in Texas.
Texas, right? I think.
Shit.
Yeah, man. A lot of people are leaving California. In fact, my next door neighbors, bro. I think we scared them off because we just moved into my house here about 2 months ago, and they're moving now. And I've been teasing. I was like, man, did we scare you away and shit? My kids that loud?
That fast, huh?
Yeah, literally, bro. And they said that because they're both self-employed, and they realized, the time was right for them to move. They can do their business from anywhere, and basically, they're like, you know what, we're gonna cash in on our equity, and they have another house, and they're just they're tired of the taxes in California and blah blah blah. So they're moving to Dallas Fort Worth, and then I've all kinds of people I've met, man, recently. They're moving, bro. They're moving out. Texas, Arizona, Idaho, shit.
A lot of people going to Nevada too.
Nevada, yeah, man. So I don't know, but I love California, bro. I always say it's fucking, you got everything here, bro. We got the beaches. We can go surf or ski. You can, the desert if you want, all in the same day, bro. Whatever, man. But I don't think I'd ever move, bro. I don't think I could, man.
I'm the same way. Like I think I was having this conversation earlier. Just, man, I can't see myself moving anywhere else. Like I said, if there was one place, really, might be Vegas, just because I love to gamble. So that's about it. But anywhere else, I can't see myself going anywhere else.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I lived in Washington for 2 years, and I was stationed up there.
Oh wow!
And I can tell you, bro, moving up there, coming from here, growing up here, and you just realize how spoiled we are, bro. It's just like, oh man, I remember being up there, bro. I was like, fuck. I was like, man, where the fuck am I? No offense to my Washington people. I mean, it was just a cultural shock for me. There's a lot. It was and turned out to be an awesome place to be. It's beautiful up there, man. I don't know if you've ever been up there. Especially if you're an outdoors person, man, that's the place to be. A lot of rain, but anyways, but yeah, you realize what how cool it is down here, man. Danny Z's asking if I don't know, Chris, maybe his Spotify deal starts September 1st. Who's going to be his first guest on the platform for Joe Rogan?
That's a good question. I don't specifically know who, but I would assume, and I would take a wild guess, that especially since elections are coming around the corner, he's gonna start getting some type of politicians in there, or some people that are in that type of world, the politics world. And if anything else, I'm trying to think who's out in Texas right now. I can't
Shit.
think of anyone, but I would say my guess would probably be, some type of person that's in the politics game, just because elections are right around the corner.
Yeah, that's a good point, bro. Good point, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, Danny. I don't know what to tell you, brother, on that one.
Especially now, he doesn't. Oh, that's a good one, Alex Jones. I would watch that. That'd be like a 3-hour craziness. I don't know if you know who Alex Jones is, the
Oh,
craziest
yeah,
conspiracy theorist out there. That'd be an interesting one.
yeah. Wait, Danny, are you telling us that's who it's gonna be, or are you asking, or are you just throwing that name out there? Just want to get this clear, bro.
Either which way, it should be Alex Jones. Now that I think about it, that'd be awesome.
It makes sense, right? Hey, Chris, man. So, what kind of advice would you give someone, man, who's looking to start a podcast, an aspiring podcaster? What would you tell them, bro? How would you guide them?
So, luckily, I've had some people ask me already who have been interested in it. But my biggest advice, or my number one advice, would be, if it's possible, do it with a friend or friends. Just because if you have no experience in this type of world when it comes to talking or like, interviewing someone, it's best to have those rough patches with a friend and getting to grow and see where it goes and see where it takes you with a friend. Because when I'm telling you for a fact, people who do a podcast by themselves and, they start to, maybe not a lot of people are watching, not a lot of people are listening, and, they're not getting followers. They just tend to, I'm done. That's it. But if you have someone else beside you, you two can kind of ride that wave out. And if you're really close friends, you could just say, you know what, fuck it. We're just doing it to have fun between each other anyway. So let's just keep it going. And then,
Right.
It might grow from there. So I would say, if you want to do a podcast, and if you can, do it with a friend or do it with someone who wants to do a podcast as well. So just go from there. Do it with someone. Try not to do it by yourself.
Yeah, don't be like me then, bro. But I started on Anchor. I don't know. You familiar with Anchor?
Yeah, that's what I use still today.
Oh, okay, you're on that platform. Well, you could do it from your phone, complete 100%. From start to finish, right?
Yes, and I was going to say, a lot of people, and you watch these YouTube clips like, how do I start a podcast, or what do I need for a podcast? And these YouTubers, not their fault, but they're over here like, oh, you're going to get this $200 mic. You're going to get this $100, soundboard. You're going to get this, that. And then it's like, it's going to be a total of $750 or $1,000. You're like, what the fuck? No, I can't do a podcast. I'll tell you for a fact right now, I did not spend that much money on a podcast. This is like a $30 mic, $35 mic, $15 stand. It's very easy to start a podcast. So don't get thrown off.
No, it really is, bro. It really is, man. That's funny because like almost everybody I talk to, this cost me $5. This is $10. This is, and then you have all these YouTubers. Oh yeah, but it's so simple to start a podcast, bro. It's so accessible, and that's why I started one, because it was like, oh shit, this is all I need. This is I mean, I was doing it on my cell phone, bro, and man, that's all I do with.
And I always try to mention this to all these podcasters, because for some reason, not a lot of people know about this damn website, but how I was able to get all this equipment going, because I use a Zoom H6, so it kind of looks like that. Like that.
Okay.
So I use that to, connect all the mics together, and then that connects to my phone, which I still use. So there's a website out there. It's called Z Zounds. So double Z and then like OUNDS.com. Gotcha. So this website, and they're not like a sponsor or anything. They should be though. This website, you can buy all this equipment and you can do it in a payment plan. There's no credit check, there's no nothing. You don't have to pay it off. They, as soon as you put your first month payment, they send you the equipment that you're paying for.
Oh,
And then you pay along the way. So I
okay.
got all this equipment that I was paying, $45 a month, the mics, the audio thing, the interface. I was paying $45 a month for, 8 months, and it was paying off. I didn't have to buy it all at once. And there was no, like I said, no credit check, no nothing, no hassle. You get it like 2 days after you put your first month in, and then you just go from there.
There you go, man. Z Zounds, huh?
Yeah, and I still use it today. Like when I want to maybe upgrade some mics or upgrade whatever, I'll use it. And then as you keep, purchasing stuff from them, they'll give you like, all right, so they'll say $500 for 8 months, or they'll say $1,000 for 12 months. So like I'm up to like 24 months worth like $3,000 worth of stuff, and I can just do all that on payments.
Oh, nice, bro. I gotta check that out too.
I would say, yeah, definitely check it out. Cameras, everything.
Really?
Yeah, they have all sorts of equipment, cameras, podcast equipment, microphones. If you're a musician, they have instruments there. They have everything.
Shit, man. And they're not a sponsor, bro, for you?
They're not, but like I said, they should be.
I know, right? Z Sounds. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I just had a friend from Flashback from the Homies. They sent me a message like, hey, bro, we used the website you used, and we got this killer soundboard, like a soundboard that I've been wanting for a while. And they're like, yeah, we got it. And I was like, oh, man, that's awesome. Like, that's all you got to do is just find those websites. Now you know the website, so no excuses now for some people.
Right. Or start simple like me. Start, just go on Anchor, start a podcast. It's free, 100% free, and you can. They might give you a sponsor there. Make a little, extra cash while you're learning. Which is what I did, man. And I think another thing that's important, Chris, with starting a podcast, you gotta find something that you like to talk about.
Oh, without a doubt.
That is, I think, key, bro. Because speaking for myself, I'm not gonna go and start talking about fucking politics.
I was thinking the same thing.
Right? Shit. Why would you gotta find something you're even passionate about. Maybe you have a hobby, something that you enjoy doing. It could be whatever, sports, whatever it is, man. You like making what you like woodworking. Talk about that. There's podcasts on everything out there now, man.
Exactly. Right? I'd like that's a great piece of advice because I feel like some people want to mimic maybe their favorite podcast. They want to copy Joe Rogan, and that's the biggest thing right now. Everyone wants to copy Joe Rogan. Everyone's trying to be like Joe Rogan, and I guarantee you, there's only one Joe Rogan. You are not the next Joe Rogan. You're not going to be that. You be the next you. That's all you can do. Don't try to be like someone else because there's already a podcast out there like that. If I want to listen to someone who's like Joe Rogan, I would rather just listen to Joe Rogan. Like,
right.
And that goes to everything. Like when it comes to sports, if I want to listen to someone who sounds like Colin Cowherd, I'd rather just listen to Colin Cowherd. Like I want to listen to a genuine podcast with, genuine people. I don't want to listen to someone who's just trying to copy or mimic that style or that background or the whatever. Like for a long time, a lot of people were using that Joe Rogan, the brick, wall background. Like, come on, people, just try something different.
Yeah. The brick background.
Yeah.
I think there's people were shaving their heads and shit, completely going bald.
Yeah, everyone's like, it's cool to be bald now. Like, hey, bro, he's bald because he got to be bald, not you.
Yeah, bro. Here, I'm gonna Z-Box. Danny Z says he wants to be like Andy Anatomical. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate that, bro. My first fan. Look at that. Yes.
There it is.
Hey man, before we wrap things up, Chris, I'm gonna do something new here. I've never done, man. I'll do some word association.
I love it.
So first one, bro. Let's start simple here. Baseball.
Oh man, that passion. That was my passion for a long time. So passion.
Are you a Dodger fan?
No, you might hate this, but I'm a Red Sox fan.
Oh,
But I'll tell you this: I'm not one of those like bandwagon fans. I've loved the Red Sox for a while, and I'd probably change my word association to first love. I'd probably change it to that. But when the Red Sox and Dodgers were in the World Series, I had a friend who, was talking about like, yeah, let's go to the World Series. Let's go to the World Series. I was like, are you fucking out of your mind? Do you see those prices? And he had the crazy idea. He's like, let's sneak into Dodger Stadium and go to the World Series. And I said, you know what, man? I'm down. So I was able to sneak in to. Do you remember the extra innings where it went like 18 innings?
Yep.
I snuck into that game.
You were at the no shit.
I didn't go. I snuck in. So my friend who wanted to sneak in, he used to work as like one of the people, telling you where to go, where your seat is.
You didn't sell peanuts?
No, he didn't sell peanuts. He was like, hey man, they fired him. They fired him, and they were like, they wanted their uniform back, but he never gave it back.
Oh,
so he had 3 sets of uniforms. He gave me one. He wore one. We pulled into the staff parking lot. We got in the staff shuttle, went up, walked right in. The scariest part was like when we walked in, we had our bags, and in our bags were our jerseys, our stuff, like everything that we were gonna have on. The security guard didn't even look at it, didn't even put it through the metal detector, just went right around. We walk right in, and I was sweating my balls off. And I grabbed my bag, and I'm walking, and the security guard yells, hey, stop. And I was like, oh, my God.
Oh.
I turn around, and he's like, is this your phone? And I was like, no. All right, man, have a good one. And I was like, oh shit. I need to go to the restroom right now. I was like, I need to take a shit. So
wow, bro.
We snuck in. The hard part is that we were in there when the staff was there. So me and him decided to just sit in the restroom for 2 hours until the gates opened. So I might have the Guinness World Record of sitting on a toilet, because I sat my ass on a toilet for 2 hours waiting for the gates to open. The gates opened, threw my jersey on, and we were out.
Oh my gosh, bro.
No one was the wiser.
No shit.
And we just so happened to watch the longest World Series game ever.
That's what a story, man. I don't think I've ever met someone who actually snuck into Dodger Stadium for any game, let alone the fucking World Series, man.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
And it was funny. I remember telling my mom, like, hey, so this is what I'm doing. And she was just like, be careful. And then I was like, all right, I guess that's okay.
Wow, bro. It's funny. That reminds me of a movie. What movie was that? Where they sneak in somewhere, and then they call them. They stop in their tracks.
Just like a movie, I know.
Right? I forgot there was a movie. I can't even remember, man. But yeah, and then they turn around like, oh shit, did you lose this? And then they're like, oh.
I was telling my buddy Tugboat, this is exactly like how a movie happened. And I remember telling him, it was crazy. It was crazy because I left my house with the Dodger, the green shirt, the, fan services or whatever. And I'm walking out, and I ordered a Red Sox jersey that I wanted to wear. And I was like, man, it didn't get here. As I'm walking out, the mailman comes in, and he's like, got a package for you. And I was like, fuck yeah, it's my jersey. And he's like, oh, man, you're going to have a busy day today, huh? And I looked at him like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you work at Dodger Stadium. And I was like, oh, yeah. I work at Dodger. Yeah, it's going to be a long day today. And I was like, give me my jersey. Let's go.
Oh, that's good, man.
Yeah,
that's a great story.
It was so crazy. Even to the point where I pulled up to my friend's house. we didn't even really say anything to each other. We were just like, if we were gonna pull off a heist or something, like we were gonna rob a bank, like we just looked at each other. We stuffed our bags in. We looked at each other like, ready, ready. We were just so nervous. It was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my life.
That is, oh my God, dude. Wow. What a story, man.
Yeah.
And that was it was 2018, man, the Red Sox. And
that was probably the first time I ever cried at a sporting event, because I remember, the national anthem kicks in. We're standing there. We see the flag waving. The Jets fly right by. And I was just like, I love baseball so much. And I was just like, I never thought I'd be at a World Series game. And I was just like, all those emotions just came over me. And I was like, oh man, I was like, this is amazing. And it was one of the best moments of my life.
That's badass, bro. And that game ended like at 1 a.m, huh? If I'm not, was it later or earlier?
It was so late. I remember we were like, it was such a roller coaster of emotions. I was like, yeah, the Red Sox are gonna win. I was like, fuck, they're gonna lose. It was just up and down. It was the best game to sneak into by far.
Gosh, man, what are the odds of that, bro? Like,
yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. Hey, brother, man, it's been such a great conversation, man. I want to thank you, man, for being here, man, and taking the time. And you're always welcome back, bro. Before we wrap up, man, where can we follow you? Where can the people follow you, brother?
So right now it's just the Instagram right now, and it's the Kickback Podcast LA. We're in the making of getting our YouTube channel going, just like you. So we're getting there. We want to do a kind of like a big welcoming to YouTube. So we're really trying to get a big guest to pop off. So emailing a whole bunch of people right now to try and get somebody on to get the YouTube page going. So look forward to the Kickback YouTube page. But yeah, at the Kickback Podcast LA on Instagram, and hopefully you can, check out our podcast. If you want to laugh, I guarantee you'll chuckle here and there. If you just want to just sit back and enjoy something, I guarantee you, Jesse, Jay, or myself will make you laugh some way, somehow.
Absolutely, man. No doubt, Chris. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to check the Kickback podcast out. Like Chris just said, man, you will laugh. You're going to laugh. And I've listened to several of their shows, several of their episodes, and it's just downright entertaining, man. So check him out. Follow him on Instagram. Chris, I want to thank you again, brother. You're always, like I said, man, you're always welcome. But let's do this again, brother, in the future, man.
I was gonna say thank you for having me. It's always like surreal when I get like I get to watch the episodes, and now I get to be in the I'm part of it. So it's always surreal to just kind of like, oh, I'm on the other side now. Like I actually get to talk to you, where instead of like in the comments like fuck. So
yeah, that's right.
I appreciate you having me on, and most definitely you're gonna be on the Kickback eventually, and we got to set that up, and hopefully this is the first of many conversations we have.
Oh yeah, no doubt, bro. Absolutely, 100%, man. Yeah, let me know when you want me to come on, bro. It would be an honor, and meet Jesse and Jay and the other 2/3 of the crew.
Yeah,
bro. We'll definitely be in touch, man, and yeah, good luck with everything, man. And thank you for being supportive, man. I know you've always been supportive on even on the Instagram lives, on here as well, of course. Everything, man. So thank you so much. I want to thank you, and so yeah, let's continue to support each other, bro, and grow and make it happen. So,
of course,
absolutely, brother. So we'll talk soon, man. We'll talk soon, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it, Chris of the Kickback Podcast in studio, quote unquote studio, here on Profile Pod TV live, and he will definitely be back. We'll be definitely collaborating in the future. I want to thank everybody for watching, for being here. Everybody in the comment section, Ryan, Danny, my man, who was that from Kickback, Chris? There was somebody here from was that Jesse?
Probably Jesse or Jay, one of them.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys. Thank you for watching. If you're on the replay, always thankful for you guys. And I'm going to keep bringing content every week, man. Bringing funny, interesting guests. Tonight was no exception to that, of course. If you want to be profiled, hit me up on Instagram. Let me know. We want you. Let's just showcase you. Let's have a conversation. Let's have fun with it, man. Let's have fun and help each other out. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Don't forget to follow us at Profile Pod TV or 90s Galore on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review, like, share, comment. 5 stars, all that good stuff, man. That's what it's all about. I love interacting with all the audience, man, the listeners, and it's always follow us on Twitter, also on Twitter at 90s Galore. So we will be back next week for another exciting episode. Well, actually Sunday. We'll be back Sunday for the debut of Q&A with Real Estate Ray. Tune in on Sunday night, 9 p.m. right here on Profile Pod TV live on YouTube. All right. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everyone once again. I'm Andy Anatomical for Chris and the Kickback podcast. Always remember to take it easy.